In 1974, Cher made a phone call that changed everything. On the other end of the line was David Geffen, who dropped a bomb that destroyed her marriage forever. "You own nothing." After 12 years together, Sonny had secretly kept 95% of their empire for himself. When Cher confronted him, his shocking response said it all. "I always knew you'd leave me." That is just the start of the sick control game Sonny had been playing for 12 years. Salvatore Philip Bono was born on February 16, 1935, in Detroit, Michigan, during the rough years of the Great Depression. He came from a strict Sicilian family and was the third child, but the first son of Santo and John Bono. His mother, John, had been forced into marriage at just 14, following old Sicilian customs. It wasn't a happy marriage. Sonny later shared in his book, And the Beat Goes On, that his parents often argued in front of the children. Sonny grew up with two older sisters, Fran and Betty. He got his first taste of performing in a school play and loved the applause. His mother used to call him Sono, which slowly turned into Sonny. On Sundays, his father would play the banjo and accordion at family gatherings, and without knowing it, planted the first seeds of music in his son. The Bonos, like many immigrant families, struggled to get by. Santo had left a small town in Sicily called Montelepre to find a better life in America. But jobs were hard to come by. Detroit was full of other immigrant families, and they all held tightly to their old traditions. Sonny's parents hoped he'd grow up to be a doctor or a lawyer, but he didn't care much for school. He was more drawn to music and performing. In 1942, with World War II changing the country, the Bonos decided to move. Santo went ahead to California, found a job as a truck driver, and then brought the rest of the family out west. Sonny was 7 when they arrived in Inglewood. The move brought big changes. Not long after, his parents divorced. This shook Sonny, but it also gave him more freedom to become who he wanted to be. California offered new opportunities. At Inglewood High School, Sonny realized he could win people over with humor and charm, not just grades. He started to shine in ways school never allowed. Being close to Hollywood didn't hurt either. It gave him a glimpse of the entertainment world he would later join. Eventually, Sonny dropped out of high school. His parents had wanted a professional son, but Sonny had other plans. To survive, he worked all kinds of jobs: waiter, truck driver, construction worker, even a butcher's helper. But he never let go of his musical dreams. He bought a used conga drum for $5 and started performing with a friend at local hangouts. These small shows helped him grow as a performer. But by 1957, at only 22, he managed to land a job writing songs at Specialty Records, a label known for big names like Little Richard and Sam Cooke. His first real success came when he wrote High School Dance, the B-side to Larry Williams' hit Short Fat Fanny. That record soared on the charts, and suddenly, Sonny was on the map. He and Larry Williams kept working together, co-writing songs like You Bug Me Baby and She Said Yeah, which later got picked up by the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. Even though Sonny didn't have formal music training, he had a strong instinct for what worked. That talent got him promoted to an A&R position at Specialty, where he produced a Sam Cooke song called I'll Come Running Back to You. Cooke had already left the label by the time it was released, but the song still became a hit. It was clear Sonny had an eye and ear for success. But things didn't end well at Specialty. Sonny had been secretly doing production work for other labels on the side, and when his boss found out, he was fired around 1958. It seemed like a setback, but it ended up opening the next big chapter in his life. After leaving Specialty, Sonny found himself at Gold Star Studios in Los Angeles. It was the heart of the music scene, and there he started learning from one of the biggest producers of the time, Phil Spector. At first, Sonny was just a gopher, doing odd jobs and playing a bit of percussion. But being around Spector meant he got to watch a master at work. By 1962, Sonny had co-written Needles and Pins with Jack Nitzsche, a struggling musician at the time. The song wasn't a massive hit, but it got enough attention to bring Sonny into Spector's world. At Gold Star, Spector was creating his famous wall of sound, layering instruments to make songs feel big and full. Sonny watched everything: how microphones were placed, how instruments were doubled, how entire sections were built piece by piece. Over the next couple of years, Sonny absorbed it all. He saw how hits like Be My Baby were made, with layer after layer of guitars, pianos, and horns, each part recorded over and over until it was just right. That experience turned him from a decent songwriter into a serious producer. Critics would later say that Sonny even managed to take Spector's sound and make it more accessible. Less grand, but just as catchy. While he was learning the ropes in the studio, Sonny was also quietly building relationships. Back at Specialty, he'd already made friends with artists like Larry Williams. At Gold Star, he met Harold Batiste Jr., who would later help arrange music for Sonny and Cher. His bond with Jack Nitzsche also lasted, and the two would keep working together on future projects. Sonny wasn't famous yet, but people in the industry were starting to notice. In 1968, he gave studio time to a then-unknown musician named Mac Rebennack, who recorded a strange, voodoo-inspired album under the name Dr. John. Record labels didn't know what to do with it, but Sonny believed in it. He pitched it to Atlantic Records and helped get it released. Dr. John never forgot that favor, later saying he'd always be grateful to Sonny for taking a chance on him. In November 1962, a young girl named Cher met a man named Sonny in a Los Angeles coffee shop. She was just 16. He was 28. Sonny had already been through a divorce and was working as an assistant to famous music producer Phil Spector. He wasn't even interested in Cher at first. He was actually more focused on her friend. But Cher felt something right away. Years later, she said that when she saw Sonny for the first time, it felt like everyone else disappeared. She thought he was the most unusual person she had ever seen. They were very different. Sonny had been born in Detroit in 1935 and dropped out of school to write songs. He had written his first song at 16. Cher, on the other hand, was born in California. She had already been in school plays and had small roles in TV shows. Like Sonny, she also dropped out of school at 16, hoping to become a star in Los Angeles. People from her school remembered her as outgoing and said she already looked like a movie star. At first, Cher and Sonny were just friends, but things changed when Cher lost her place to live. Her roommates kicked her out, and Sonny offered to let her stay at his apartment, as long as she agreed to clean. Cher said yes, but later admitted she never actually cleaned anything. At the time, Sonny told her he wasn't attracted to her. But slowly, their relationship became something more. Cher later said their bond wasn't about fiery romance. It was deeper and more emotional. It felt almost like a father-daughter connection. Cher's mom once pointed out that Sonny even looked like Cher's real father, who hadn't been in her life. That might explain part of why Cher felt so close to him. By 1963, they were no longer just roommates. One night, after going to the movies together, everything changed. They fell in love. In 1964, they had a private wedding ceremony in a hotel room in Tijuana, Mexico. It wasn't legal. They just made their own vows. Cher was only 18 and Sonny was 29. Even though they weren't legally married, They acted like they were, both in public and on their TV show. Most fans believed they were husband and wife, but they didn't actually get legally married until 1969, 5 years later, the same year their child Chastity was born. Sonny played a big role in helping Cher become a singer. In the beginning, Cher didn't even want to be on stage. She was terrified of performing in front of people. Even though she had a bold personality and wasn't shy in everyday life, the moment she had to sing alone, she froze. Sonny had planned for her to be a solo artist in 1964, but her fear made that impossible. The only way she could manage to perform was if Sonny was on stage with her. She would sing to him, not to the crowd. That made her feel safe. Early videos show her looking straight at Sonny while singing, barely glancing at the audience. He was her anchor. And it worked. Eventually, the woman who couldn't face a crowd became one of the most confident performers in music, known for her bold fashion, strong stage presence, and fearless attitude. That transformation started with Sonny standing beside her. Before they became famous as Sonny and Cher, they tried other names and styles. In 1964, they performed under the strange name Caesar and Cleo, releasing a few songs that didn't catch on. Around the same time, Cher also released a single on her own, using the name Bonnie Jo Mason. The song was called Ringo, I Love You, a tribute to Ringo Starr from the Beatles. But it failed too. Some radio stations didn't even play it because they thought her deep voice sounded like a man singing to another man, which was too controversial for the early 60s. Their first small success came with the song Baby Don't Go, which got attention in a few regions. But in 1965, everything changed for Sonny and Cher. They were just two struggling musicians when Sonny came up with a new song in the middle of the night. He woke Cher up and asked her to sing it with him. She wasn't impressed. I didn't like it and just said, "Okay, I'll sing it, and then I'm going back to bed," she later admitted. But that song, I Got You Babe, turned out to be their big break. On August 28, 1965, it hit #1 on the Billboard charts and made them international stars almost overnight. Before that moment, it hadn't been easy. People didn't know what to make of their look. Cher remembered, "We struggled and struggled because of the way we looked. We got thrown out of every place." It wasn't until they traveled to England, where people were more open-minded, that they started gaining real traction. The song Sonny wrote, meant as a promise of support during their toughest times, sold over 1 million copies that year and went gold. Decades later, they sang it one last time together on Late Night with David Letterman in 1987. A touching reminder of how far they had come. Their rise didn't stop there. At one point, they managed something incredibly rare: 5 songs in the Billboard Top 20 at the same time. Only 2 other acts in history had done that: Elvis Presley and the Beatles. After I Got You Babe took off, record labels rushed to release earlier songs the duo had recorded. Suddenly, tracks like Baby Don't Go, Just You, Laugh at Me, What Now My Love, and Little Man were all playing on the radio. The flood of releases turned into a wave of fame that carried them around the world. As they gained attention for their music, people also started noticing their unique style. Bell-bottoms, fur vests, and Sonny's droopy mustache became part of their signature look. Their variety show, the Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour, drew 30 million viewers each week and doubled as a national fashion stage. Cher's bold outfits and Sonny's quirky charm set trends across America. At one performance at the Hollywood Bowl, Cher wore bright yellow pants and a tank top, just a hint of the fashion risks she'd take in years to come. By 1971, with the help of designer Bob Mackie, she was wearing see-through gowns and feathered headpieces on TV, fully stepping into her role as a fashion icon. In 1967, they proved their staying power with The Beat Goes On. It reached number 6 on the charts and became Sonny's most recorded song. The recording session was packed with top musicians from the Wrecking Crew, including Carol Kaye, whose now famous bass line gave the song its cool, hypnotic feel. Even though the tune sounded simple, the lyrics had something to say. Sonny wrote about how trends come and go, but some things, like war and poverty, stay the same. With lines like, "And men still keep on marching off to war," the song revealed a thoughtful side to the duo that many didn't expect. By 1967, things started going downhill for Sonny and Cher. Just a couple of years earlier, their soft, catchy pop songs had made them huge stars. But music was changing fast. Psychedelic rock with loud guitars and wild energy was taking over. Bands like Jefferson Airplane and Cream were the new sound, and Sonny and Cher's clean-cut image suddenly seemed old-fashioned. Cher wanted to keep up with the times, but Sonny didn't want to change their style. That caused tension between them. Their third album didn't do well. It barely cracked the top 50. On top of that, their wholesome lifestyle, which once set them apart, now made them look square. In the age of free love and rebellion, their monogamous, drug-free image didn't click with young people anymore. It was a shocking fall from grace for a duo that had once matched the Beatles and Elvis with 5 hits on the charts at the same time. Desperate to bounce back, they took a huge gamble. In 1968, they poured $500,000 of their own money into a movie called Chastity. Sonny wrote and produced it, hoping to launch Cher as a serious actress. They were so committed that they even pawned furniture from their Bel Air mansion to fund it. The movie was strange and heavy, following a lonely young woman, played by Cher, who ends up in a Mexican brothel. Critics hated it. One said Cher's character was flat and hollow. When Chastity bombed, it crushed them. Not only did they lose all the money they'd invested, but they also owed the IRS $270,000 in back taxes. They were suddenly deep in debt and close to financial ruin. The film's soundtrack flopped too, and Cher's record label lost faith in Sonny's ability to guide her career. The money problems just kept piling up. They had mortgaged their home, and Cher, still young and trusting, didn't realize how bad things were. She later found out that most of her earnings were going straight to Sonny's company, which he had set up to control nearly everything they did. She had unknowingly signed contracts that left her with little to nothing. Cher admitted she didn't understand money at all back then and had put all her trust in Sonny. They had to sell belongings, cut their spending, and rethink everything. They also had a baby now, Chastity, born in early 1969, around the time their film flopped. It was a painful irony. Then, when things seemed hopeless, they tried something new. Sonny came up with the idea of doing a live nightclub act. Gone were the hippie clothes. Cher wore glamorous gowns, and Sonny wore sharp suits. The act was based on their real-life arguments, with Cher poking fun at Sonny on stage. At first, Sonny didn't like it, but the audience loved it. Her deadpan jokes and quick comebacks made people laugh. What started as a way to survive became their ticket back to fame. In 1970, a CBS executive named Fred Silverman happened to catch Sonny and Cher on The Merv Griffin Show. He was struck by how naturally they connected on screen. Curious, he went to see them perform live at a nightclub in the Americana Hotel. Cher kept teasing Sonny, and Sonny played the fool, a dynamic that reminded Silverman of older comedy duos, but with a fresh twist. CBS was trying to attract younger viewers at the time, and Silverman thought they were perfect for that. So, based on that one performance, he made a bold move. He gave them their own summer TV show. That show became the Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour, which premiered in August 1971. What started as a small trial run turned into a huge hit almost overnight. The show looked amazing for its time, with bright sets, sharp editing, flashy costumes, and Cher's powerful singing. People loved the playful banter, the musical performances, and the over-the-top visuals. It was so successful that CBS canceled The Ed Sullivan Show, a major decision, just to make room for it. Soon, the Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour was one of the highest-rated shows on television. But while the world watched them laugh and flirt on stage, things were falling apart behind the scenes. By the end of 1972, Sonny and Cher had separated, privately. On TV, they still acted like the perfect couple. But off-camera, they were barely speaking. Cher later admitted that she had fallen for someone else, a guitarist in their band named Bill. After he kissed her backstage, she realized how stuck she felt. When she told Sonny she wanted to leave, he tried to stop her. She said she'd stay if she could have her own place, some money, and more freedom. But she also said she felt trapped, like a prisoner. Even after their split, they kept performing together for nearly 2 more years. The audience had no idea they were acting. The ratings stayed high, and the illusion continued. But behind that success was a harsh truth. At the time, Cher was dating record executive David Geffen. One day, he got a copy of her contract and discovered something shocking. Even though the company was called Cher Enterprises, Cher owned none of it. Sonny owned 95%, and his lawyer owned the other 5%. Cher, who had worked beside Sonny for nearly 12 years, had nothing to her name. When she confronted Sonny, he shrugged it off. "I always knew you'd leave me," he said. Cher was stunned. "That's not a reason," she told him. "How could you do it? I was there with you, all those nights, all those days, through everything." Sonny didn't respond. The truth hit her hard. Not only had he controlled their relationship, he had also made sure she had no financial freedom. But things got worse. Geffen took another look at the contract and realized that Cher was trapped in what he called involuntary servitude. She wasn't an owner, she was an employee. She couldn't access her own money. She couldn't sign a check. She couldn't even work unless Sonny gave her permission. And the contract still had 2 years left. Cher was devastated. "It felt like a kick in the gut," she later said. "It took days for the horror to sink in." She asked Sonny to tear up the contract and split things equally. "If you don't give me half," she warned him, "I won't sign another year with CBS. I won't do anything with you. I can't keep working for nothing." But Sonny refused. That same month, Sonny filed for legal separation. Cher responded with divorce papers just a week later. In her filing, she used the phrase involuntary servitude, the same shocking term Geffen had used. She had finally realized how deeply Sonny had built the system to keep her powerless. She couldn't even believe it at first. "I understood the words," she said. "I just couldn't understand the meaning." Cher had helped create their biggest hits. She had stood beside Sonny on stage and off. But when she asked for a fair partnership, he shut her down. He even tried to scare her. "America will hate you, and you won't have a job," he warned. But Cher stood her ground. "You can't tell me what to do anymore," she said. "I'm 27 years old." She was done being controlled. She had a daughter to raise and a future to reclaim. Their fight over property got ugly. Cher's boyfriend, Geffen, took matters into his own hands. One night, while Sonny was at the studio, Geffen hired security guards to clear out Sonny's things from their house. Not just his clothes, but also his girlfriend, who had been staying there. They put everything on the curb. The message was clear. Cher was taking her life back. But even after the divorce, Sonny still found ways to hold power over her. Because Cher had broken contracts tied to his company, she ended up owing him millions. To pay it off, she had to keep performing with him. Despite everything, the betrayal, the heartbreak, she had to appear on stage with her ex-husband, pretending like nothing had happened. After Sonny and Cher divorced in 1974, Sonny Bono's career took a sharp dive. Once a star on the Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour, he now faced empty rooms and shrinking audiences. His solo shows didn't work. Cher's popularity kept rising, while Sonny's faded fast. At one point, he was performing for crowds as small as 10 people. He later admitted how hard it was to let go of the power they had together. It didn't help that people started to confuse him with the goofy character he used to play on TV. Even Cher, despite their rocky split, said he seemed lost at sea without their partnership. By the late 1970s, his time in the spotlight was over, and he knew he needed to start over. That turning point came in an unexpected way. After struggling with red tape over a restaurant project in Palm Springs, Sonny decided to run for mayor. Many laughed at the idea. He was seen as a joke, a washed-up celebrity. But in 1988, he shocked everyone by winning the election. Over 60% of the city's voters showed up, double the usual turnout. Sonny promised to revive downtown Palm Springs, bring in music festivals, and make the city exciting again. Coincidentally, Cher had just won an Oscar the day before, and Sonny joked that the headlines felt like a 1-2 punch. As mayor from 1988 to 1992, he used his fame to get attention for local issues and went up against the old political crowd that had controlled the city for years. But he didn't stop there. In 1994, Sonny ran for Congress and won. People didn't expect much, but he surprised them. He stayed grounded, used humor to build relationships, and took his job seriously. Though he never sang in Congress, he became known for his charm and wit. Even the Washington Post said he had a rare gift, making even the most serious lawmakers laugh at themselves. President Bill Clinton praised him too, saying that while Sonny first gained fame as a performer, in Washington he earned real respect. Re-elected in 1996, Sonny was carving out a place as a respected public servant. Then came the tragedy. On January 5, 1998, while skiing in South Lake Tahoe, Sonny lost control and hit a tree. It was late in the day, a risky time on the slopes when skiers are tired and visibility drops. He had skied that resort for over 20 years, but this run ended in disaster. Some said he ignored warning signs. Others pointed to recent deaths on the slopes, including Michael Kennedy just days earlier. Afterward, his wife Mary, who was pregnant at the time, suggested Sonny might have been using painkillers, but toxicology reports found no drugs in his system. Sonny Bono was laid to rest in Cathedral City. His headstone reads, "And the beat goes on." It's a simple but powerful tribute to a man who moved from pop stardom to public service, and who left behind both music and laws that still echo today.